Cigna uses an algorithm called PXDX to auto-deny your medical claims in 1.2 seconds. You know the envelope. You tear it open. Claim denied, not medically necessary. You assume a doctor looked at your MRI, reviewed your history, maybe stroked their chin and made a tough call. You're wrong. No human eyes ever saw your file. A medical director signed your rejection without opening it, along with 60,000 others that month. They didn't reject you because the treatment was wrong. They rejected you because they're banking on a specific flaw in your psychology. Think about that Tuesday afternoon at the pharmacy counter. The line is building behind you. The pharmacist lowers her voice. Insurance declined the refill. That'll be $480. You pay it because you have to go to work tomorrow. Or the letter regarding your knee surgery. Not medically necessary. You stare at the $12,000 estimate. You feel small. You feel like you messed up the paperwork, like you didn't advocate hard enough for yourself. You call the number on the back of the card. You wait 40 minutes listening to distorted jazz. Then you hang up because your lunch break is over. That specific moment, when you hang up, that is the product. That shame you feel is a line item on their balance sheet. They aren't clumsy. They aren't disorganized. They are incredibly efficient at monetizing your fatigue. Every time you pay out of pocket to avoid a fight, their stock goes up. You think you're fighting a bureaucracy. You aren't. You're fighting a casino where the slot machines are rigged to jam. Only instead of losing quarters, you're losing your mobility, your livelihood. This isn't bad luck. This is a business model. And there is a reason this keeps happening to you. Meet PXDX. That is the internal code name Cigna gave their denial engine. Before this system existed, insurance companies had to pay doctors to actually read your chart. That was expensive. It was slow. It cut into the quarterly earnings. So they built a shortcut. Here is the math they don't want you to do. In a single month, one Cigna medical director signed off on over 60,000 denials. 60,000. Let's be generous. Let's assume he worked 8 hours a day without a single bathroom break. That means he reviewed your complex medical history in exactly 1.2 seconds. Try reading a text message in 1.2 seconds. Now try determining if a stranger needs a spinal fusion. It is physically impossible. And that is the point. He didn't look at your file. He looked at a batch list and clicked Deny All. Yet the letter you received said Reviewed for medical necessity. That is a lie printed on corporate letterhead. Don't take my word for it. Go look up the ProPublica investigation into Cigna's PXDX system. The leaked internal documents are right there. They admit the goal isn't medical accuracy. The goal is to eliminate the administrative cost of checking if you're actually sick. There is no secret plot in a smoke-filled room. There is just a spreadsheet. It costs Cigna money to review your claim properly. It costs them almost nothing to auto-deny it. They save money twice, once on the review and again when you give up. The incentive structure is perfectly designed to ignore you. And the way they pull it off is almost elegant, if it weren't ruining your life. So how does a computer replace a doctor? Simple. It ignores the medicine and looks at the codes. Every procedure has a number. Every diagnosis has a number. The PXDX system is just a glorified matching game. If code A doesn't perfectly align with code B in their database, denied. It doesn't matter if your unique physiology requires a deviation. It doesn't matter if your doctor wrote a 3-page justification. The algorithm can't read essays. It only reads syntax. It's like a spell checker that deletes your entire novel because you used a word it didn't recognize. Think about the audacity of that. A piece of software logic just overruled a board-certified surgeon, and they call it medical management. But the law requires a human signature on that denial. So they hacked that too. This is where it gets industrial. The algorithm creates a batch. Imagine a spreadsheet with hundreds of rows. Each row is a person. A grandmother needing a hip replacement. A construction worker needing an MRI. The medical director sits at a computer. They don't open the files. They don't check the x-rays. They simply verify that the codes didn't match. Then they click one button, batch sign. Boom. 50 denials instantly formalized. It turns the Hippocratic Oath into a data entry task. You might be thinking, isn't that illegal? Isn't that fraud? No. In the eyes of the system, it's just efficiency. Here is the darkest part of the mechanism. They know the algorithm is wrong. They know a huge percentage of these claims are actually valid. But they also have a very specific number on their screens. 5%. That is the percentage of people who actually appeal a denial. Think about that. 95% of patients just give up. They pay the bill themselves or they stop getting treatment. The system is betting on your exhaustion. It is an attrition warfare engine. They throw up a wall of paper knowing you are too sick to climb it. If they deny 100 valid claims and only 5 people fight back, they just save the cost of 95 surgeries. That isn't a medical decision. That is an actuarial calculation. And you are the variable they're rounding down. But here's the part that changes everything. You think the algorithm is broken because it denies valid care. You think it's a glitch. That is the trap. The algorithm isn't broken. It is working perfectly. Because the product isn't healthcare. The product is the denial itself. If they approved every valid claim, their profit margin would vanish. Their entire business model relies on the gap between what you need and what you have the energy to fight for. That rejection letter wasn't a medical verdict. It was a bluff. It was a poker bet. They're betting your time is worth less than their money. This isn't a filter for fraud. It is a filter for willpower. The system is specifically designed to catch the people who are too sick to make a phone call, too tired to print a PDF, too overwhelmed to find a fax machine in 2024. The cruelty isn't a side effect. The cruelty is the efficiency mechanism. Think about the incentives. If the algorithm accidentally approves a surgery you don't need, Cigna loses $40,000. If it accidentally denies a surgery you do need, Cigna keeps $40,000. The mistake is always profitable. When that medical director spends 1.2 seconds on your life, they aren't checking if you're sick. They're checking if you're stubborn. If you appeal, they usually fold immediately. Why? Because once you appeal, you become expensive again. Humans have to get involved. So they pay the persistent ones to go away. And they rob the exhausted ones who stay quiet. You aren't a patient in this equation. You are a friction point to be smoothed over. They have automated the act of saying no simply so they can profit from your silence. Now you hold the map to the maze. When that denial letter arrives on your kitchen counter, do not treat it as a verdict. Treat it as an opening bid. They're bluffing with a weak hand, praying you fold. Call them. Appeal the decision immediately. Demand your claim file and the specific medical necessity criteria. Those exact phrases are kryptonite to a system built on speed. You are forcing them to switch from an automated script to a manual review. That costs them time. That costs them labor. And that is the only language this machine speaks. It is unfair that you have to fight for your life while you're fighting for your health. It is cruel. But now you understand the physics of their greed. Your silence is their profit margin. Your compliance is their quarterly bonus. So be the friction. Be the 5% that ruins the math. Make them regret trying to automate your survival. In this system, you don't win by being right. You win by being too expensive to ignore.